LAM Research Corps, sitting at $211.62. It is down 9.35% today, down 8.78% over the past 5 days. Over the past month, it's down 11.48%. Over the past 6 months, it is up 64.9%. Year to date, it is up 23.62%. On a 1 year chart, it is up 177.94%. On a 5 year chart, it is up 262.24%. On a maximum chart going back all the way to September 12th, 1986, it is up 91,908.7%. My goodness. They pay a dividend of 0.49%, a quarterly dividend of 26 cents. They have a PE ratio of 43.37, a 52-week high of $256.68, a 52-week low of $56.32. That's some volatility right there. They have a $4.88 EPS with 1.25 billion shares outstanding and 20,000 employees. Perspectives from across the web here. Lam Research experienced moderate volatility this month, declining roughly 4.7% despite record earnings beats. AI-driven demand for HBM and advanced packaging remains a primary catalyst. Analysts project continued growth next quarter, with consensus estimates for EPS between 1.25 and 1.45 as the wafer fab equipment market expands to approximately $135 billion. The bullish view: record earnings and upbeat guidance. The company reported a significant Q2 2026 earnings beat with EPS of $1.27 and revenue of $5.34 billion, representing a 22.1% year-over-year increase. Management issued Q3 revenue guidance of approximately $5.7 billion, which exceeded consensus expectations and highlights robust demand for semiconductor fabrication tools. Dominance in AI infrastructure. Strategic positioning in advanced packaging and high bandwidth memory (HBM) is driving substantial growth. Advanced packaging revenue is projected to grow by over 40% in 2026. The company's e-tech and deposition technologies remain indispensable for manufacturing high-performance logic and next-generation AI accelerators. Expanding WFE market opportunity. The 2026 wafer fab equipment market forecast has been upgraded to approximately $135 billion, a 23% increase from 2025. This expansion is fueled by aggressive memory spending and transitions to advanced nodes like 2nm, providing long-term visibility despite current supply constraints in clean room capacity. The bearish view: valuation and profit-taking pressures. Despite strong fundamentals, the stock faces a sell the news dynamic following a 33% year-to-date rally. Valuation concerns are rising as the forward PE ratio of approximately 36x and a PEG ratio over 2x sit well above historical averages, suggesting the stock may be priced for perfection. China exposure and regulatory risks. Uncertainty regarding export controls and China-linked revenue continues to weigh on investor sentiment. High concentration in Chinese markets poses a risk of sudden revenue impact should geopolitical tensions or trade restrictions escalate further during the 2026 fiscal year. Macroeconomic and internal headwinds. Broader market caution stems from Federal Reserve signals regarding higher inflation for 2026 and fewer than expected rate cuts. Additionally, recent high-volume insider selling by company executives has been interpreted by some market participants as a negative signal for near-term price appreciation. Fascinating. All right, let's check their earnings and just see what we think. So we got last report was on the 28th of January 2026. So they beat by 8.7%. They were supposed to get 1.17. They got 1.27. Revenue, they also beat by 2.01%. They were supposed to get $5.24 billion, they got $5.34 billion. So we'll go down and see when the last time that they missed. Now look at that. Looking good. Nothing yet. Now, I'm just going to say this. Going back as far as is recorded here, they have not missed earnings or revenue. And that's something that is pretty cool. We like to see that. Kulik and Sofa, Lam Research, Monolithic Power Systems, Maycom, and Form Factor stocks trade down. What you need to know. A number of stocks fell in the afternoon session after investors reacted to news of Google's new Turbo Quant algorithm, a tool that threatens to significantly reduce memory requirements for artificial intelligence models. The market's interpretation is that this increased efficiency could lead to a structural decrease in demand for memory chips, sparking a sector-wide sell-off. SanDisk saw its stock fall by as much as 8%. The concerns generated by Google's announcement overshadowed recent strong earnings from memory makers, adding to the sector's headwinds are reports that competitor SK Hynix is considering a potential $14 billion U.S. listing, which would increase competitive supply pressure in the market. The stock market overreacts to news, and big price drops can present good opportunities to buy high-quality stocks. Among others, the following stocks were impacted. Semiconductor manufacturing company Kulik and Sofa. NASDAQ fell 4.6%. Is now the time to buy. Zooming in on Lam Research. LAM Research, I don't know. I'm going to call it Lam Research. Lam Research's shares are extremely volatile and have had 30 moves greater than 5% over the last year. In that context, today's move indicates the market considers this news meaningful, but not something that would fundamentally change its perception of the business. The previous big move we wrote about was 10 days ago when the stock gained 3.4% on the news that investor enthusiasm for the artificial intelligence hardware boom fueled by key company announcements and anticipation for NVIDIA's GTC 2026 conference. The sector experienced a significant uplift as the industry pivoted toward hardware-led innovation. Analysts at Frost & Sullivan have also highlighted that 2026 is expected to feature a shift towards hardware, with next-generation semiconductors enabling faster and more efficient AI processing. Lam Research is up 14.4% since the beginning of the year, but at $211.56 a share, it is still trading 15.2% below its 52-week high of $249.48. From February 2026, investors who bought $1,000 worth of Lam Research's shares 5 years ago would now be looking at an investment worth $3,625. This is just more ad crap about this these guys. Okay. So that's pretty neat. Check that out. What do we think about Lam Research, guys? Let your cousin Dustin know what you think.